Well, hello, fellow constitutionalists, and welcome to the Dan Clements Show, a Christian political talk show. I'm your host, Dan Clements, your constitutional warrior fighting for your right just to be an American. It is, it's July 7th, in the year of our Lord 2022. Remember, we're a hyphen-free, PC-free zone. God is still in control, and He does love you. And I'm broadcasting from the Hemlock Studios here in the beautiful central Susquehanna Valley. And today we're talking about, if you've seen the little snippet there, the little thumbnail I had there, another shooting in a gun-free city. Now, I know it's been a few days, about 3 days, since the horrible shooting in Highland Park, Illinois, by the perpetrator. I'm not going to name his name. I'm not in the habit of doing that. I will not do that to give him any more fame. Not that my channel is famous or anything, but I just have a few things I want to say about this whole situation with Highland Park. Now, it is a senseless shooting. There was no reason for this person to do this. But I suspect, now this is my own supposition, but I suspect that this shooter is in the same vein of the recent mass shootings at the schools down, the school down in Texas, the grocery store, the shopping malls, all this kind of stuff. The person that drove his van into the parade, they're all left-wing extremists. When it all boils down, they're all left-wing extremists, and the one person actually said he did this, the shooter up in Buffalo, I believe it was, the grocery store, the Tops in Buffalo, that's what it was, said he did this to draw attention to gun violence and hopefully get guns outlawed. And so that's almost as stupid as some of the economic policies of George W. Bush. Well, I'd say it is stupid, but I digress a little bit there. Now, you guys been watching the news if you've been following this. I've been just on the fringes following it because there's so much garbage being reported out there. It's hard to sift through what is or what isn't factual, what isn't political, those type of issues there. But it happened in a suburb of Chicago called Highland Park. I've been through there before in my truck driving days. Nice place, nothing bad to say about it, except it's a gun-free zone. The shooter was a lone shooter. His uncle said that he was in the rap. He, from all reports, legally obtained an AR-15 style semi-automatic rifle. And I'm going to touch on that here in a second. I have a couple questions I need to ask for the video here. The shooter was unemployed since the pandemic. He was living in an apartment behind his parents' home. And touching on the gun-free zone, I can't help to think if the suburb wasn't a gun-free zone, if more lives could have been saved and casualties could have been avoided with a good guy with a gun. Now, I'm just putting it out there for food for thought, because according to some sources, there's anywhere from 850,000 to 2.5 million good guy with a gun deterring crime. Okay? Good guy or good gal with a gun deterring crime in America every year. You never hear about that. I mean, I do. I actually get things on Facebook, Twitter, where they actually tout this, that somebody broke into somebody's house and the homeowner had a gun and deterred him, either deterred him or killed him, which amounts to the same thing. So I have a few questions. AR-15, even with a short barrel on it, is hard to conceal. And it looked like he had in the arrest photos, looks like he had a side, I don't know how long it was, but it was a black jacket. Might have been big enough to hide a short barrel, M4 style AR-15. But my question is, he had to walk from somewhere or park his car somewhere, and he had his car because he was up in another neighborhood a couple miles away when they arrested him, but he parked his car and he walked over to, and I'm going to show you a wide angle of Gearhead. That's the roof he was actually firing from. And I just want you to notice this is the whole, this is part of the parade route here, this intersection. going, if you go from the bottom left to the upper right at a diagonal, that's the parade route. And I don't know if you can see it, but right that tan building right behind the first awning, there's a ladder. Now I have a close-up picture. These are all Daily Mail had these in their article that I have linked below. I have 3 articles linked below in the description. But there's the ladder. Now, folks, and these are some of the questions I have, and this is going towards more how people are not situationally aware anymore. Now, I know that's a military term, and I know I've never seen combat, but even in training, we were taught to be mindful of our surroundings. And when and this is just a habit of mine. And if you'd ever be able to talk to my wife, she'll tell you this. When I sit down in a restaurant, I never put my back to the front door. I'm always facing the front door. And not that I want to put her in danger with her back to the front door, but I think I could react to a situation quicker than she can. I can recognize it, let's say, quicker than she can. I don't walk down the street with earphones in, listening to my cell phone and looking down at the cell phone, just walking down the street, just totally oblivious to all my surroundings. When I walk with my wife, especially on like a street, she's always to my right. I have the curb to my left, and she's always to my right. If we're on the other side of the street, walking down the other side, then she's on my left, and I have the curb on my right. I always protect her that way. I'm always aware of the situations around me, and it seems strange that these folks, nobody noticed this ladder at Gearheads on a holiday up on the roof. And if you know anything about sidewalks in cities and stuff like that, if you have a ladder up, usually you have a cone or two around the bottom of it, especially if someone's working on it, just to draw your attention that there's a ladder there and to be mindful of it. There was none of that. And it was on a holiday to boot. Now, I understand there's emergencies and stuff that happen on holidays, but I don't know if Gearheads, and I really don't care, I don't know if they were open. They probably were not open on the 4th of July to celebrate Independence Day. So there's a couple questions I have about, no one's seen him carrying that AR-15 style rifle. No one questioned a ladder going up to a roof. Now, some people might have thought, well, there's people from Gearhead that are up on the roof trying to see the parade route. Well, if you would I'll go back to the wide angle picture real quick. If you look up the street, there's a bunch of trees going up the street there, and some of them are kind of high right there in front of Gearheads. So I don't know how much of the parade route they could have actually saw. A little bit going up the street, maybe on the other side of the street, but not directly down below Gearheads. Maybe some people just thought that people were up on the roof and they were doing what people do, during a parade. They watch the parade. Okay? But I don't buy it. And like I said, this goes to people's situational awareness. I think people are so desensitized to their surroundings that it's no wonder people get hurt each and every day. I'm not talking about from gun violence. I'm talking about just stupid accidents. And most of the time they're distracted in their driving. I can't tell you how many people I see, more women than men, but I do see my share of men driving down the road with a cell phone stuck in their ear in a fairly new vehicle. Now, I did some research a couple years back, probably 2018, 2019, because this question came up, and I went and looked, and almost every model car since I think it was like 2014, 2015, Bluetooth, hands-free Bluetooth isn't an option. It's a standard feature in all vehicles. And I've asked friends of mine, I've got after some close friends of mine, I saw them in their, pulling up someplace with a cell phone in their ear, and I said, do you know that's illegal? In Pennsylvania, it's illegal. And I said, it's not only illegal, it's dangerous because you're being distracted. And I said, don't you have Bluetooth hands-free in your vehicle? And you know what the major response is? I don't really know how to set it up. Well, ask somebody. Ask somebody to help you set it up. The dealer, if it's brand new, the dealer help you set it up. It's not hard, folks, to set up a Bluetooth hands-free. I have a 2005 pickup truck that didn't have any Bluetooth anything in it. I put a new radio in it with a double DIMM, a double DIM radio, and it's got a big screen on it for navigation and stuff like that. But it came with there's a microphone on it, and it's Bluetooth enabled. So when I answer the phone, I just got to hit a button on the screen, and I don't even have to look away to really do that. I just hit a button on the screen, and it pops up. In these new cars, you have to have buttons on your steering wheel. Just move your thumb, and boom, boom, you're there. So there's a lot of distractions going on, and I have to believe people were way too distracted with the parade. They weren't looking around, and they shouldn't have to. But I wish somebody would have. Somebody, a veteran, especially a combat veteran, maybe his spidey senses could have been flared by the latter, seeing a strange guy on a hot day, because it was hot across the nation, not extremely, but it was a hot day with a black coat on, walking around, especially a young man that, looks the way this young man does. But anyway, that's some of the situational awareness. The other thing is, where are the parents? And I've said this on every shooting since the Parkland shooting down in Florida, where I was put in Facebook jail for a little bit. I was put in Twitter jail for a little bit. The lady we bought our Cocker Spaniel off of, she's a humanist. She's part of the Humanist Society in Lewisburg. She unfriended me. I've had other folks, especially some members of my congregation, that unfriended me over my stance with Parkland. Where were the parents? Where were the people he was living with? This guy was living in an apartment behind his parents' home, and they didn't care what he was doing. Give me a break. I mean, how unloving do you have to be? I mean, my son lives down the road. It takes about an hour to get down to his house, but we know what's going on in his life. We try to stay in his life as much as we can. A lot of it's through text, and some of it's through phone calls. And other times we go down to see him, he comes up to see us. We know what's going on in his life, and if something like that were, if he was starting to go off into a dark place, I would hope that Lori and I would notice it, and we would try to address the problem. And here again, we have, I don't know how old his parents are. They can't be, I don't think they're as old as I am, because this is a fairly young man, but how insensitive is it that you don't even know what's going on in your own son's life under your own roof? That is your roof. That's your apartment. He was living there free. So there was a lot of things that were missed here again. But back to my main point, this is a gun-free zone. I cannot help to think, if this wasn't a gun-free zone, there might have been a good guy or good gal with a gun that either could have stopped him, stopped him dead, or at least laid down cover fire to keep his head down where he could not shoot people, and people could have got out of harm's way. It's not that hard. And yet they're using the leftists and the liberals and the progressives and the humanists are using this. Oh, we got to disarm the population again because guns are bad. Well, it's never the person, like the guy driving the van into that holiday crowd, or the shooter down in Texas, or the shooter up in Buffalo, or this guy here. It's always the gun. It's always the vehicle. It's always the bomb. It's never the person behind it. And trust me, I tell you, none of my weapons have ever killed anybody since I've owned them. I have one I got a British 303. It's an Enfield Mark IV. I have them somewhere. I got the bona fides on it when my wife bought it for me one Christmas, 25 years ago, where it was a barracks rifle over in Britain in the military. But that doesn't mean it didn't see some combat. I mean, it had the wooden stock that was on it was gnarled up, and I can't help to think it was more than just barrack rifle, but I'm just assuming. So, as far as the weapons in my possession, they've never taken a life, and they're here. They're here for the most part. A lot of times when I leave, they're locked up. You know, except for the ones I take with me. And I've never come back and seen the safe unlocked and someone dead and the weapon laying there. You know, that weapon will not kill anybody in and of itself. It's the person behind. The weapon's just a tool. I mean, there's more people beat to death in the United States than are shot. You know, as far as murder, and no one wants to outlaw hammers or clubs, golf clubs. I was watching a Perry Mason episode, and the guy got killed with a fire poker from the fireplace. I don't see anybody want to outlaw those, but they want to put the person who did it in jail. And that's where the onus, I mean, that's where it should be. That's where our focus and our onus should be, is on the person, not what he used. I mean, that guy could have literally, and I'm serious, he could have literally walked down through the crowd, people standing there, and took a knife and just started stabbing people. And until the first person actually dropped, no one would have known any difference. It's quiet, it's dead. I'm not trying to give anybody ideas, but I'm just telling you, it's not the tool, it's the person that we need to be looking at. So, gun-free zones don't work. Every recent mass shooting's been in a gun-free zone. Chicago, especially, being a gun-free zone, is one of the deadliest cities, if not the deadliest. I think they vie for Baltimore in that regard, but it's ridiculous. And we have a constitutionally protected right. It's not given to us by the Constitution. It's a protected right, the Second Amendment. You know, we have the right to keep and bear arms, period. And the Supreme Court, time and time again, has actually supported that right. So there's a lot of things that go on in these gun-free zones, and then people can't defend themselves. And I'm sorry, I think people should be allowed to defend themselves. I think people should be allowed to defend themselves whatever means they deem necessary, and a pistol is a perfect thing to do. You start slinging lead at somebody, unless they're suicidal, they're going to duck their heads. Or if you do hit them, it's going to slow them down. You know, it's just that simple. And like I said, I'm not trying to, say we need to go out and kill everybody, blah, blah, blah. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to say people they have a right to defend themselves with a firearm to protect their life, their property, and those around them. And I think when you have these gun-free zones, they're just, like shooting fish in a barrel, because no one's there to stop them. The police, I heard so many times, and I'll end on this note. I was watching some videos, John Stossel, and they were talking about, the shooting, and they were talking about taking away guns and stuff like that. And this one lady said, well, we have police in the military. They can protect us. All the police can do, folks, in this instance, they didn't stop him from killing anybody. There was probably a police presence there because of the parade, but they didn't stop him from killing anybody. All they could do was get the chalk out and start making chalk outlines. That may be a little insensitive, but it's all over with but the crying by the time the police get on the scene. So folks, be safe, be aware of your surroundings out there, and fight for your right to protect yourself. This has been the Dan Clemens Show. I'm your host, Dan Clemens, your constitutional warrior. Remember, if you aim at nothing, you hit it every time. We will see you on the next video.